The Fed seems to be pivoting as we speak. They're changing. We just got inflation news. We got news from the Fed with how much they're adding to their balance sheet this week. We also have news that people are going after crypto, but what is new there? So let's talk about all that. If you don't mind, please hit the subscribe button underneath the video. Turn on that bell notification. I am in a different spot than usual. I'm on vacation here with my wife and another YouTuber and his significant other too. And that's not wine in the background. That's actually Athletic Greens. I'm not sponsored by them, but I drink it every day. And yeah, it just looks a little bit sketchy, but there aren't too many glasses here, so I had to put in a wine glass. Now, the crypto market is looking up a little bit right now. I mean, Bitcoin is moving up after we just got news, the PCE print. So let's go to the 1 minute here. You can just see here too, we've been floating back and forth just for the last couple days, couple weeks really. Probably last week. So we're starting to move up a little bit right now, but this is the same range that we've been in. And you can just see though, when PCE came out, we moved up a good amount. So why is that? I'll show you here in a second. I do want to say though, I apologize for the camera setup and stuff. Usually better cameras than this. If this is your first time watching the channel, just on vacation, I have to make do with what we have here. Now, we are seeing some liquidations, not all that many when you consider the fact that we just had PCE come out, and we've seen so many shorts and longs getting liquidated over the last couple months, especially with some of these big moves up. Right, we saw a ton of shorts getting liquidated. Then since we moved up so much, we also saw a bunch of longs get liquidated. But in the last 24 hours, we've had about 90 million. In the last 12 hours, only about 38 million. So not like a crazy volatile day, especially for having inflation, which is kind of interesting. Inflation just came out, some inflation news. So what exactly is that? And then let's talk about the government with a new vendetta against crypto. So we just got PCE, which is the Fed's preferred inflation gauge. I know most people just look at CPI. A lot of people look at PPI as well because it's the producer's price index, which usually is a leading indicator of the CPI. But the personal consumptions expenditures also is something that a lot of people look at, and that's what the Fed likes. So it just came out 0.3% month over month. The expected was 0.3%. The PCE was 5%. And the expected was 5.1. So it came in a little bit under expectations, which I think is positive. The core PCE also came in at 4.6 versus 4.7 expected. So that actually just came in at 0.3% month over month. And now some people are thinking we're actually going to have pretty low inflation here soon. JPM says they see headline CPI year over year falling under 4% by the July print. Now, why is this so good? Well, it means that the Fed is more likely to be able to lay off the rate hikes, especially because we know they have been breaking the banks essentially. But we've seen the market rally, the stock market and the crypto market rally the last week, which is interesting because there's so much fear about the banks. But now I think we're getting to a healthier place. The reason I say that is the Fed every Thursday comes out with a report showing what they did with their balance sheet, and every Friday they update this graph. Now, this is some real alpha for you here. This is only on this channel that we are actually looking at the reports, because if you read this, the publication actually comes a day ahead of this graph. So we're going to get this probably any time today. I don't know exactly the time that it comes out, but I would expect in the next couple hours to be seeing this. However, we already have the report. We know what they added to their balance sheet last week. You can see here from last week's report, the total assets were 8.733, and that's trillion dollars, $8.733 trillion. And when we look here, 8.733. So we can look at this week's report, and the total assets is actually 8.705. So they actually flipped. They actually are holding less on their balance sheet, which is what they said they were going to do. They said this jump up was only temporary. And now it's looking like that actually might be true. Now, we're still higher than we were just 2 weeks ago, but they did actually have a decrease in their balance sheet. So maybe this actually is temporary like they say, which I honestly, there are some people that will think, okay, this is less bullish for Bitcoin because it was bullish when they were adding, because they're adding liquidity into the system. And now it's less bullish, which there is less liquidity, But you have to remember too, if they're adding less liquidity here, that means that they might not have to keep rates high so long because they're not injecting liquidity at the same time that they're trying to tighten, which some people would consider that bullish as well, that they're not just pumping liquidity in the system and then having to continue raising rates. So the risk-free rate will eventually come down, and it probably can come down a little bit faster if they stop adding to their balance sheet. So that's kind of interesting. They actually flipped. They actually did what they said that they're going to do. And so at the same time that we're seeing, less on the Fed balance sheet, less risk of bank failures, there's also lower CPI and PPI and PCE coming in. Other countries are seeing lower prints as well. And now, I don't know, things are looking pretty good. I mean, a lot of people are still worried about recession, but there's a chance we could get this soft landing. I know it sounds crazy. I've been saying this for a year, though, that I think it is possible to get this soft landing, especially if the Fed can do what they say they're going to do, which is eventually stop raising rates around this level and then come back down. I think the economy is still pretty strong. Now, there are a lot of layoffs that have happened recently, but that's also kind of necessary for the inflation gauges to come down. I know it sucks for whoever gets laid off, but the fact is there has to be some change. And we also see that debt is going up, so we have to be very careful about that. But if there's some big blow up, they might be able to actually turn back on those money printers. And if they do it responsibly this time, maybe not as aggressively as before, we could see crypto do quite well from that. And we're starting to see stocks move up from this PCE news as well. Now, we do have to be a little bit careful. We're continuing to see people add to their Bitcoin, which I think is fantastic. The number of individuals holding one Bitcoin has reached a new milestone, surpassing 1 million holders, which is fantastic. A lot of whole coiners out there, going to be very wealthy one day. But there's going to be some battles that we have to fight. Take a look at this. Gary Gensler is seeking $2.4 billion in funding to chase down crypto misconduct. And as we scroll down here, they're going to hire 170 new staff. Most of them would work within the enforcement and examination divisions. They said that they needed to do this because they had so many different fines that they could have gone after. Basically, they had here 750 enforcement actions, which resulted in orders of $6.4 billion in penalties and disgorgement. This is over the whole SEC, though, in 2022, but only $242 million in monetary penalties for crypto. So it seems like they want to make this much larger to continue to go after crypto. And what's interesting here, too, is we're starting to see other weird things come up. Like, this is a letter that I got for an affiliate program, and they said that they can't have people use emojis. Certain emojis are not allowed when discussing finances. So you can't put a rocket ship, you can't put a stock chart, you can't put a money bag, can't put a cash face or money, like birds' wings, which is so weird. Like, why did they have to spend time making these rules, right? How much did this cost taxpayers for them to say you can't have a rocket ship in a YouTube title anymore? That's nuts. That's nuts that we pay tax dollars just so that they can tell us that your favorite creator can't put a money bag on their video. Just crazy. So we're fighting this battle. SEC wants to continue their crackdown on crypto, it seems like. And then Elizabeth Warren is making a anti-crypto army. This is one of her ads. I'm in this fight to put our government on the side of working families. Join the re-election campaign, and then this is part of this is their title slide. This is the first part of the ad. As if working families can't join in on crypto. And I think the fact is there are a lot of people, if you're not investing in crypto, right? There's this negative connotation. I was in the airport the other day, and all of a sudden, randomly, the table next to us, the woman just started to talk about how much energy Bitcoin uses. Out of nowhere. And her significant other didn't really say anything, and then that was the whole conversation. She just brought it up out of nowhere. And I think a lot of people think that way. I think a lot of people are negative against crypto, but they don't even know what crypto really is, right? They'll complain about the government and their overreach, but they don't want a decentralized currency. And they don't even think about the fact that, I'm probably being pushed media that says how bad Bitcoin is for the environment, but a lot of it is green. It's not like a lot of people are just throwing coal in their own power generators, right? And then running Bitcoin miners, right? It's a lot of the same electricity that you get to run your dishwashers, to go to your bank. So the fact is, there is a decentralized currency that actually gives power to those working families that you're trying so hard to protect, Elizabeth Warren. And, it's not that bad for the environment, just like anything, right? If you want something valuable, if you want something that's going to benefit society, that's some kind of technology, it's going to cost energy. And as time goes on, it's going to cost more and more energy because it's going to become more and more valuable. So that's not going to go away anytime soon unless we start using a bunch of solar panels or wind to continue to push Bitcoin to be more and more green and self-producing, basically, be able to produce your own energy. I don't know if we're going to see that conversation change where people all of a sudden start thinking Bitcoin is a great use of energy. I think that's going to be a consistent fight for a while. Let me know your thoughts on all this underneath the video, though. Let's take a look at the Bitcoin price. I think, this is good for Bitcoin over long term, seeing this PCE continue to come down. It's great to see inflation come down. We're going to get back to a risk market. This would coincide pretty well with the next Bitcoin halving. Within about the next year, we're going to have the next Bitcoin halving. And that would definitely coincide with about the same time the Fed is going to look at lowering rates, which is just crazy. It's crazy that the cycles are so consistent and they haven't really been front run or changed too much. We had about the same drop. We had the same fear. We had, things blow up and cause more fear, right? And yet Bitcoin's looking good. It's one of the best performing assets of the year. Let me know your thoughts underneath the video, though. And if you want to know what I'm buying and selling, you can check out the link to the Patreon as well, where you can join. If you want to join for a full year, you do get some discounts. And if you're looking to sign up for that, just sign up for it tomorrow. Sign up for it in tomorrow's video because it is the end of the month, so I wouldn't want you to get double charged or anything like that. Now, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And hit subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.